Hello, welcome back, everyone, to File New. My name is Ryan Selvy. This is your constant Wednesday show of designer news, art news, creator news, everything you need to know to stay up to date with the ever changing landscape of being a creator digitally. Uh, we have a lot to go through today. We had the Apple event yesterday. There are some exciting updates for Premiere, both for mobile and for desktop. And there's some really cool typefaces that we want to get into for Font of the Week, where you're going to be able to vote on what the Font of the Week is. We had our 100th episode last week, which was really fun, and we had our overall winner for Font of the Week, but we're starting again with some more Fonts of the Week that you guys can vote on. And there's some great stuff about being bored and having the importance of being bored. We have a bunch of people in chat, but I promise to make it worth your time if you are watching the replay. This is an hour-long show. We've got a lot to get through, so let's go ahead and hop on into the news. And starting off with the Apple event, because I feel like that's probably something that's really pressing for everyone. It happened yesterday around 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. They announced a bunch of stuff, but they, most importantly for creators, announced the new iPhone lineup. They have the iPhone 17, the iPhone Air, and the iPhone 17 Pro. At the time of broadcasting, these are the prices that they advertised. They have a bunch of different elements to each one, but I really wanted to kind of focus mostly on the cameras because I feel like the cameras are the thing that people are most excited about. Hello to everyone in the chat while you're here. Peter, Sean, Clever, Oliver, Helena, Jacob, Winter. It's good to have you guys all here. Thank you. If you guys have comments on the stories as we are going through them, I love to have co-hosts. So help me not be alone and let me know what you think about the news stories as we go over them. I'd love to hear your opinions. If you guys are excited, if you're not excited, it's all great feedback and it's all part of this being a live stream. So the one that I really wanted to focus on probably would be both the Air and the Pro. The Air is something that they announced as their flagship really thin iPhone. It is, as you can see in this picture, super thin. It fits in one of their pictures like on top of someone's phone, on top of someone's finger, and it essentially has all the power of a regular iPhone, but is incredibly thin. They did some really cool stuff on the inside with using lasers to shrink down different elements to make it all simple, effective. It reminds me of my Motorola Razr, but you know, it's now an iPhone. It's an iPhone 17 essentially, but for Air. One of the things they did touch on with an update in software side, and this is when they were going over the iPhone Air, is they have this new capability to have dual capture, which kind of reminds me a little bit of Be Real from a few years ago when you used to take a picture front and back, but this is all simultaneously, and it's all while you're capturing content to show both sides, both the front and the back. They do have some updated specs for the front-facing camera because they understand that front-facing cameras are not going away and they are very important. People are using them to talk about them a lot. I'm going to go ahead and actually pull up the official Apple website that is going through some of these updates. I wanted to show you guys one of the really cool things about this front-facing camera. If you scroll all the way down here, it's showing how they have a now square sensor in the front-facing camera. So what that basically means is traditionally with a camera sensor on the front of the phones, it's normally I think longer than it is wide, and so with that it is prioritizing the shots that are going to be vertical, because ideally when you are filming yourself or taking a picture of yourself, it's going to be a vertical format. With that said, there are times when you are kind of pointing it towards yourself and you need a wider frame, you need to capture more, and it now has the ability to take both sides of the aspect ratio. So if you bring in more people, it's going to automatically detect that you need to have a wider canvas, and it's going to switch from that vertical aspect ratio over to more of a landscape, and that way it'll be able to switch it out. It says that the iPhone 17 Pro and the iPhone 17 Pro Max introduce this center stage front camera that advances the photo and video experience. It is offering a wider field of view and a higher resolution, up to 18 megapixels for photos, which is pretty unheard of. If you go back just a few years, that is what was on the back of the camera, and now it's on the front of the phone. I said camera, but that's kind of where we are getting now. Bree is saying that she feels like this camera sounds amazing. Oliver says the square sensor is interesting. People have been talking about that idea for a long time. It was just a matter of time of who did it first, and it was Apple. Sean said, so the phone can take photos now? Who would have thunk it? Sean is still using his old flip phone. The Nokias do not die. So actually, the Nokia wasn't even a flip phone. Those things were just bricks. The center stage front camera also enables ultra stabilized video in 4K HDR, which was a big part of this original clip that I was showing you the screenshot from, when she's jumping up and down and she's cheering for her son, nephew, brother, who knows. The idea is that the front-facing camera stays stable and isn't just a shaky mess. It's also going to be able to figure it out. Winter Powell is in the chat saying, not impressed, keeping my old iPhone. It definitely felt like there were some updates that, were just another update, looking to be wowed. We will see, how the sales go. I still have a 15, I believe. That's what this is. And so I am due for an upgrade. Not sure if I will or not. Once again, all opinions and ideas expressed on this show are surely my own or the chat's. They do not reflect official endorsements or criticisms from Adobe. One thing that I think is really important also for artists that were watching the show is they introduced a new portrait mode, which could ideally kind of just sound like a filter thing, but it's not actually just a filter thing, because it's also dealing with the processing and how it is interpreting footage and interpreting pictures and light as it's coming in. In addition to some video updates, like being able to record in ProRes RAW, Log 2, and Genlock, this is a new studio mode called Bright, and Bright actually increases the vibrance across the image and brightens skin tones that help to create kind of a poppier, brighter, more professional looking image. And this is all dealing with different sensors and being able to open them and what have you. This is obviously taken on the back camera from the Pro, and with the Pro there is I believe a 48 megapixel camera, which is pretty incredible. And let's see here. It says that it has 3 lenses on the back. It has the main camera, which is great for everyday shots, works well in lots of lighting. You have your ultra wide camera, which fits a lot more into the frame, like a big group or wide landscape, and a new telephoto camera, which zooms in up to 8 times, which is really interesting. So you have the 0.5, which is going to be your zoomed out wide one. You have your 1, which is standard view, and then you have your 2, 4, and 8 size of zoom with no quality loss. A lot of times in the previous ones, it let you go up to like 8, but a lot of times it was just zooming in to essentially a 4 times camera. Winter is still holding on to an iPhone 13, which, what year is that? Is that like 2020, I think, or 2019? Jacob said, I upgraded to the 16 Pro for the studio video, and I never used it, which is very true. Oliver, on the other hand, is impressed, but he's not sure he wants to buy a first gen of a completely new cooling design. Yes, that brings up a good point. There was another cool thing that was about these phones, and it was their introduction of this new cooling design. They use deionized water, whatever that means, and it basically uses the water that is inside of your phone to be able to cover and cool down the system on the inside. Interested to see how that works, to the point of Oliver, who has an iPhone 11. Wow. Okay, I want to see who has the oldest phone in chat. It might be Oliver with an iPhone 11. That's getting close to not getting updates anymore, which, if anything, this update yesterday is just a reminder that the new iOS is coming out soon, and that's introducing Liquid Glass, which is a whole new operating system design that has different glass that refracts different stuff and makes the whole screen feel like you're moving around with little stuff. Michael has an iPhone 7. How long does your battery last, Michael? Does it only last like 2 hours and then you have to recharge it? Clever is skeptical about water inside. Said yes, I would break it. Winter says that her mom has an iPhone 6. Whoa, you guys, we need to do a file new giveaway with some iPhone somehow. Let's raise some money and do some giveaways. Keeping the attention on Apple, apparently. This broke right after we went live last week, and so we weren't able to cover it. So this is a little bit of old news. This is probably from like September 3rd. Today's September 10th. Instagram finally launched for the iPad, which is a long overdue thing. It takes advantage of the bigger screen, so it can do like a split screen with your messages on the side, kind of like email. And then you can respond to messages. It has the navigation over to the left and all the things. You can watch reels. You can pretty much do all the functionality that you can do on your phone. But finally, if you're on your iPad, you don't have to just use a gigantic zoomed in version of the iPhone version. People in the chat are giving a rough time about the old phone. Says the iPhone 7 battery probably lasts long enough to send the message that you just put in chat. Also, Jacob is saying 14 minutes for sure. But I'm excited about this. You know, it's exciting in the sense that it's long overdue. It's been something that people have been asking for like 5-10 years now. And it's nice to see that they finally have rolled it out. But now you can finally access Instagram on your iPad. In some sadder news, there is a update from the legal proceedings that are coming on Google right now. Google is essentially, if you're not familiar, they are battling this idea that they control too much and have monopoly, especially in the US, also in the UN. They're running into their own things. And one of the things that came up a lot was that Google and their AI systems are pulling away from web traffic. The idea that we are visiting less websites was something that was disputed by Google. Google is saying they're still sending out billions of clicks, but in one of their defense documents that they recently published, they are actually admitting that there is a strong decrease in the open web, which is kind of when you go to Google, you search for individual websites and you click on those websites, then you get the content from there. Now with different large language models, with different generative feedback, with voice assistants, the amount of websites that we're visiting is sharply declining, which is something for artists to take note of and understand. I think that that is even more the reason to start a newsletter, find ways to directly communicate with your audience, find ways to have designs and creations that are not just attached to websites, but are instead tied to brands and products and things that people are going to interact with. Because you can no longer just rely on the idea that people are going to visit websites to get their information, to get their content. A lot of times that stuff is going to live inside of a chatbot, or it's going to live in an assistant, or it's going to live in an app where it's not going to be as much on the websites. They were using this as a means to say, like, we need to keep our stuff because it is something that is encouraging open web. But it was interesting because this contradicts what they've been saying in weeks and months prior, where they were like, no, the web's fine, everything's good. Welcome in to Kendall, who's Zonafly, and also welcome to Evie. Thank you for being here. Oliver, in response to the iPad app, is saying it's only taken them 15 years to make an iPad app. They have a small team. You know, they're just a small, scrappy team there at Meta that is making it. Jacob's also wondering what that means for portfolios as far as the open web. Very good question. Very good point. Find ways to continuously reinvent and come up with new creative approaches to getting your portfolio out there. It's always going to help to have cold calls, but it's also important to just, you know, find ways to be able to promote your own stuff. Zonafly saying, I normally hang in Behance chat, but it won't stop loading for me. So here I am. That's great to hear because I love YouTube because it gets you guys in for the polls, which we will be doing very soon. We have a few more stories before we hop into the font of the week, but I'm glad that you're over here in YouTube. Next up, we have some Adobe updates. This is an Adobe Live show after all. This one is for object masking in Premiere. This was something that Howard Pinsky posted on his X account. This is a cool video that he did to show a new feature in Premiere beta that helps kind of let you rotoscope essentially within Premiere without having to leave Premiere. You go to the object masking tool, and from there it can automatically detect different objects in your composition. Then you track through the timeline, and as it does, it will show you how it is figuring out what is what. From there, you're able to then create and take that cut out image, and you can adjust it as you would like. You could apply certain effects to it. You can like change the saturation, where you, in this case, are doing a color concentration on this woman dancing, where historically, you would have to take that and you'd have to go and bring that into After Effects and do rotoscoping by clicking and manually going through and adjusting. This is then also relying on artificial intelligence to be able to understand what that image is, be able to understand what is the cutoff and what is a good thing. And then you can also always adjust things like feather and expansion if you want to go in and you want to adjust afterwards. But this is a really nice way to be able to speed up that process because boy, oh boy, is rotoscoping like pulling out my teeth slowly at the dentist without any Novocaine. And you can quote me on that. It's gotten better over the years with like the new rotobrush and stuff, but man, oh man, I do not like to rotoscope, and I've done rotoscoping for a lot of projects. I want to say in Premiere real quick, this is something that's launching on Friday. It's 90 new effects, transitions, and animations in Premiere Pro. This is something that we actually showcased yesterday on Paul's show. This was for fresh updates you need to know in Premiere Pro 2025. If you want to, you can check out the replay on the Adobe Live site. I hosted that one as well. I saw you guys giving me grief at the beginning for it being the Ryan Selvy channel. You know what? You guys are here, so you like to watch me. So you know what? I don't want to hear it. I love you guys, and I hope you love me. We have this new film impact dashboard up here. You can see there's things that you can do. You can apply these cool effects all across to your footage. There's things like the bokeh blur. There is a echo glow. There is an RGB splitter. There's light leaks. And the cool things about these is when you click on them, you can not only see the before and the after here of what it's going to do to your footage. When you go in, there's a bunch of different settings that you can also adjust. And there's actually a button that says surprise me. That way, when you're applying this effect to different footage, it's not always going to be the same thing over and over and over and over again. This is actually going to use different elements, and that way when you're watching something on Instagram, everyone's not going to have the same effect. There are over 90, even better. There are 90 effects that you can have here. This also includes transitions that help you get through between clips. There are different motion effects. There's essential effects, lights and blurs. There's tools, and that's all launching on Friday. It all native in the program, and that's all going to be on Friday. We then have a question from Evie Johnson. Do we have a poll yet? Nope. We're getting there yet. We will be there very soon. We are rapidly approaching our font of the week. We have 2 more stories before we get off to our first poll. So in the meantime, I will start a poll for you. And it says, do you want a poll? Yes or no? We're going to start that poll, and you guys can vote on that. Sean is saying it's going to be in Premiere 25.5, which is very exciting. Nice to know that we're up in the 25s, which also coincides with the year, which is nice. Next up, we have Premiere on iPhone. What I found really funny when I was putting this, canvas together of all of our news stories is I didn't realize until I was doing this that both of these updates that are official Adobe updates include images of women with long hair flipping their head around for Premiere different updates. The first one being new effects and transitions, and the second one being Adobe Premiere on iPhone. This is something that we were launching last week, and it's very exciting to be able to have this. Previously, there was Premiere Rush. That's actually being sunset, and now there's Premiere on iPhone, which is exciting. So far in our poll, we have 75% of people saying yes, they want a poll, and 25% say no. So I guess people are not interested in the poll. And then the last news story that we have is coming from NBC News. This says humans are being hired to make AI slop look less sloppy. There has been obviously a very large increase in the use of AI and the use of generative text, generative imagery, and apparently a big new freelancing status is going in and doing cleanup. There are things like Spanish graphic designer Lisa Karsten. She says she's busier than ever cleaning up distorted logos, where there's writers like Keisha Richardson rewriting robotic AI-generated articles. Clients often underestimate the time and skills needed to polish AI content, and many pay less, but demand for human creativity as it's growing as brands fear backlash over AI's generic output. There is an increase on platforms to have high-level creative and emotionally driven work, from book illustrations to brand strategy, and developers are even being hired to untangle buggy, insecure code from AI assistants. It's just a trend that's showing that while AI can speed up tasks, it can't replace the expertise, empathy, and originality humans bring to design, writing, and tech. So as always, we are constantly surprised at the handshake of being able to not just use tech to replace everything, which, like, imagine that, guys. We are artists, and we are still needed, and it's important to be able to provide your resources. Now, I'm going to end the poll if you want to poll, and 80% of you want to poll. So I think it is now time to hop into Font of the Week. Are you ready for that? Let's hop on in. Font of the Week is the session that we have every single week where we go over 3 different typefaces that are available in Adobe Fonts that you can use as part of your subscription to Creative Cloud. And we just talk a little bit about what they are, what they're used for, what they provide, and what you can use them for. In the Behance chat, in that last comment, Oliver says, wouldn't it be cheaper just to hire the designers to do it in the first place? You would think that. Umacorn also agrees. Evie also agrees. Winter also agrees. Umacorn is here for the poll. Reverb Mike is here to make it funky. And I do have a funky one for you, dude. The second one's going to be funky for you. And we will get to that in just a second. But first up, number 1 that we have so far is Podium. I'm going to create this poll. You guys can vote while you go into it. But as always, you can change your answer later, I guess. But if I were you, I would just wait to vote personally. But the 3 options that we have is Podium, Seismic, and Auster. Or is it Seismic? I guess like a I don't live in California, so I don't have to deal with earthquakes. It's Seismic, right? These are the 3 that we have. Starting off, we are going to look into Podium. Podium is a I have my cheat sheet for this, and it is a sans serif. It is modular with geometric undertones, as you can see. It blends the wood type, robustness, and contemporary smoothness. This is coming from Mateusz Makowski at Capoletics. And this is a hybrid visual that references Polish modular wood types like Rex, Block, and Baccarat. And it results in a rounded yet structured texture that's versatile for expressive typographic systems. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to write File New out. It has 13 styles for you. This in case of the app that we're using, you're able to not only just switch through the styles in here, but if you're able to use it in a app like Illustrator, it does have capabilities to be a responsive typeface. There's also things in the glyphs that we love to check out. Check out the alternatives here, being able to switch between something that's a little bit more funky and wide than another one. Zonafly is saying, I think Podium looks like a fun poster design font. Reaver Mike says Podium is very much like Impact. Yes, if you guys know Impact. But Impact kind of gets overused, and it isn't as soft as this. So if you look at Impact here, and then we put Impact, there's really hard edges of Impact, whereas Podium kind of takes that and widens it out a little bit and softens those edges. It's best used for visual identities like posters, logos, and dynamic branding, especially where flexibility in width and weight supports responsive design and impactful display treatment. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the font website for Adobe Fonts, and you guys can see the variable fonts that are available here. And you can see here they use it for a bunch of different examples at the top. It looks really good on that spray can. But you can go in and you can adjust the width based off of this axis. And you can see this is where you really have flexibility to be able to adjust the different types of variableness that is available in the axis that you can go across. So you can even do, expanded, which is going to be wider. And then you could also just go in and nitpick and bring this down to your favorite number, 64. And then it can be adjusted accordingly. As far as glyphs go, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the glyphs panel. You can always access that by going to Window Glyphs. We like to scroll all the way down, and you can see that they have some things like a copyright, they have trademark, they have a cross, they have different punctuation. We always like to look to see if you can do your math homework. Yep, you can do your math homework. And a bunch of arrows, which we love arrows. This one's actually starting in reverse because we normally do it the other way. And it's a fun font to have. But that's not the only option this week. We also have Seismic, which is this variable font. You say, why does it look so weird there? It's because it's actually a variable font that lets you mess it up with its variants. It is a really exciting font that is kind of experimental, expressive, and it's rooted in Indic script modulation. It has Latin letter forms that mirror the vibrational, uneven shapes evoking seismic movement inspired by Bengali script explorations. The irregular, dynamic forms carry a sense of tremor and organic motion. It's best for experimental branding, editorial headlines, cultural projects, or any design requiring visually striking, kinetic display letter forms that convey energy and motion. So pulling it up here, you can see it's from Universal Thirst, and you can see that over here, not only do they have the axis of weight, which you can make it heavier or thinner if you want to, you can also go into seismic. There's 0 to 100. As you increase it, the crazier it gets. And that's when you really end up getting these kind of wonky letter forms that then distort the A and the N, the G, the S is really having a hard time there. And you can kind of bring this up and down, so you can have it be completely clean if you want to. There are some still wonky irregularities to it. Like if you look at the base of this A, the actual stem of it goes lower than the bottom of kind of the bowl. And then with the G, you can see the bottom of the bowl is also higher than the bottom of the baseline. The V has this kind of strange straight bottom. So this is definitely something where you're going to be trying to say something kind of fun. You can see when you're messing with the seismic variable, the V is going to actually even go on a tilt. The S is going to melt. Depending on which variable number you have, you are going to be able to see different distortions to each letters. And then, of course, you can always change the weight. Even if it is super thin, you can still go super distorted, which is fun to see. You can change this to say whatever you want. And it's a weird type. We had a request for some weird type, so this was by means my delivery. I like to at least always have one. If you're in Photoshop, you can see that there are the variables are just kind of brought into standards. You could bring this into something that says File New, and then we're going to look at those glyphs down here, which I don't think you can do your math homework in this, you guys. I think you can only... Oh, you can do some math. You can do some math, but I don't see a pi. Oh, there's a pi symbol. Never mind. I lied. Turn in your math homework and make it look like you were really nervous about something the whole time and you had a shaky hand while you were writing it out. Of course, they always have punctuation. They have different accents on different letter forms, so you can do multiple languages, but doesn't look like it has anything outside of Latin letter forms. So you're stuck to English and other Latin-based languages like German or Spanish. Then lastly, we have Auster, which is another variable font. We have variable fonts as all three options here. And for this one, it is a sans serif font, or mostly sans serif, right? It has a little bit of a kick to it. It's like not quite serif. It's human. What is it? Humanistic serif. Variable font, and it has calligraphic roots and handcrafted warmth. It is bold. It feels hand-drawn. It has the texture characteristic of Resistina's calligrapher designer duo, because this is designed by Giuseppe Salimo from Resistenza. And while the variable axes aren't detailed, one can expect smooth transitions between weights or styles. It is good for hand-lettered charm, typographic flexibility, like bespoke branding, elegant editorial spreads, and evocative headlines or invitations. In comment to Seismic, Kendall is saying that it would be fun for a music thing or a horror poster, which I think would be really good. This is being called out from Mike for the T that is curling. If we go in here, we look at File New, we're going to look at all of the glyphs. You can see we've got arrows, and I love me an arrow. We're going to go and implement that arrow right into here. We've got some diamonds, punctuation, math homework. This has got us covered for you. Same thing with Latin letters. You can see that if we go to the official font website on the Adobe Fonts, we can see that there is a variable adjustment here. And what you can do, same sort of thing, you can adjust the weight axis and you can increase it all the way up to super heavy black, or you can bring it all the way down to like rail thin line. File new. Or, you know, all caps if you want to do file. Oh, ooh, didn't realize all of those letters were so close to each other. File new in all caps here. You can also always do a nice little shuffle up if you want to do a shuffle. So those are the three that we have. I always like to keep the poll open for a while. That way we can come back to it and we give people a little bit of chance to go through and pick it out. Right now it looks like there is something in the lead. Podium is currently in the lead. So if you don't want Podium to win, make sure you hop on over to YouTube and you give it a vote between Podium, Seismic, and Austere. I really need to find a way to, get this to pop up on the side as we hop into other stuff. But next up on our docket, all of our links are available, by the way, in the Raindrop. You can go to raindrop.io, I think Ryan Selvy or something. It's linked in the description. I'm also going to throw both of them in the chat for you guys, so you guys have access to them if you want to click on them yourself. And that way you can see all of them, all organized by hashtag of what they're going to be. If you want to race ahead and know all of the stories before we even announce them, now's your chance. So we're going to go into our next part, which is resources, and we've got a cool reel coming up. So that's our next segment, resources. There is this recent obsession, I think just for me, honestly, of using the appearance panel in Adobe Illustrator to make edits to text, so that way everything is non-destructive and you can still create some really cool stuff. I saw this posted by Yadoc Studio yesterday, and I messaged him to see if I could post it on the channel. He said yes. So we're going to go ahead and I want to go check it out. It is a way of being able to make cool halftone in Illustrator without having to do like a weird clipping mask situation. And instead you can do it in the appearance panel. So right now he's showing, in this case, what it looks like without using his way, but instead he goes to appearance, add fill. He then adds an offset path. From there, he then creates the offset path and adds an inner glow to it by going to stylize inner glow. He can do just a small blur so that it's coming from the edge, which gives it look like it's kind of almost going away, and then goes to pixelate color halftone. By adjusting some of these sides, it then creates this really cool interactive piece. I'm not sure if you guys want to see me do that live or not. I've watched this 100 times. I have not done it myself yet. Oh, Raindrop asked you to log in. I sent the wrong one. I am sorry. Here you go, guys. You guys don't have to log in with that link. I sent the wrong Raindrop link. So take that Raindrop link, and that is where you're able to go. Oliver also has the root of where all of the episodes are. So appreciate you, Oliver. Thank you for being there and grabbing that. But you guys should be able to see that. I'm going to go ahead, and we are going to create a new document. And from there, we can go and we can, what is currently winning? Podium is currently winning. So let's do Podium. We're going to change this over to Podium. We'll do expanded. We're going to bring it up. And so we are going to add a fill. From that fill, we are then going to go and we are going to path, offset path. We're going to bring this way down. I don't know why I'm in inches. I need to change that really quick because this is like the third time this week that I have gotten in there, and I don't want to be in pixels. I want to be in pixels, please. So we're going to go over to path, offset path. We're going to bring it down quite a bit. I want to make sure that this is round, not meter. We're going to say OK. I am then going to also go into glow, right? How do I do that? We go into stylize inner glow, right? Yep. This is, how does he have it? He doesn't have it as screen, does he? What did you do, sir? He went over, over on our Yadox, and I wish you could scrub through these so much easier, but you can't because it's Instagram. And so what you have to do is you just really have to watch it a bunch of times so that you then really learn it. This we're going to bring down so it's not as overcome, and instead we're going to just change it to maybe normal rather than screen. I'm not sure. We're getting to the point where he does it. He goes offset path, boom, 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 and he's doing inner glow 100%. He's just doing, oh, he's doing bigger. Oh, okay. And then finally we're going to go to stylize, or what is it? How do we get to halftone? Pixelate, there it is. Color halftone. I don't think we have enough clarity on this typeface, but we're going to see. We're going to change this all to 45, 45, 45, which is off the screen. I recognize that. Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. The good thing is we can change it, which is nice. We're going to change this to like a 3 pixels because those were way too big. Oh, I have to do between 4 and 127, so we're going to do 4. Yes, all right. And then we can increase this, and we can increase the size. And boy, oh boy, does that look so much better than what we just had. We can also go ahead, and if it's not working enough for you, you could always bring in the offset path. You can bring it up or down depending on how much you want it to be adjusted. And then you can also adjust this inner or outer glow depending on how much you want it to affect what you have. And what's cool here is then, you know, that is still adjustable. So I can say reverb mic, and we can put it up there, and we'll be able to see what he works on. And oop, my typing is not what it needs to be today. So pretty cool. Thank you so much to Yadox Studio for letting us share that tip. And it's all cool. That's all on the appearance panel. Zonaflies is definitely going to use that halftone one, but I got to find an option inside of After Effects so I can animate it. Very good point. She says she loves it. What do we have next up? We are about 15 minutes away from the end of our show. We have the YouTube cultural trends and reports. This is coming from YouTube themselves. They tend to put out this report where they talk about different updates and creativity and things that are reshaping culture all on YouTube. They basically said, and this is going to make everyone feel old, it says that this is the first generation that was raised in a fully digital global media environment, and they were raised with YouTube the entire time. Before they were born, YouTube was around, because YouTube was invented in 2006. So I guess anyone who's 19 or younger had YouTube at some point. Jack is here. Hi, Jack. Jack says, I missed the font of the week, so I'm just going to name one. No, I can go up and I can show you really quick. We don't have to walk through them, but these are what the 3 look like: Podium, Seismic, and Austere. While you're looking at that, I can keep this on the screen and talk a little bit more about the YouTube report. They are shaping a new creative language called creative maximalism, and it is all about redoing things. So it says this aesthetic is defined by 4 pillars: visual complexity, narrative co-creation, internet referential humor, and cultural cross-pollination. Viral trends like Italian brain rot videos and shows like Skibbity Toilet exemplify this style, blending absurdist humor, deep lore, and global references. Brands and entertainment companies are already adopting these formats, and generative AI may further accelerate this shift by enabling visually rich and iterative content. The report argues this isn't just a passing trend, but a fundamental cultural shift, with young people's creative fluency and participatory mindset setting the tone for the future of pop culture. And we're on YouTube right now. So, hey, glad to be part of the culture. Okay. Remake this video as much as you can and share it with your friends and all of your Gen Z counterparts. then one more resource before we hop into hyperlinks, and this is Viewport. We've looked at design spells before, which I really like, and this is kind of an adjacent for it, but just specifically into UI. This is curated experiences for your inspiration, and it has a lot of different animated things. It has web, desktop, mobile, watch, iOS, Android, you name it. You can click in and you can see which one is what. It also does a really good job at showcasing a lot of these user interactions. It is made by Fair and Eric, made with love by them, and this has been around, I guess, since 2023. So they've been doing it for 2 years. I only found it this week, but very cool. And it also does a really good job at crediting what everyone was made by to just show you what everything looks like. So that is, once again, viewport-ui.design. Then Jacob saying, I'm sorry, I respect the kids' media, but Skibbity Toilet made me shudder. Hey, it's big enough that it's part of their slang. Or our slang, because I'm that young. Okay. All right, guys. Do you guys want to call it for Font of the Week? How many votes do we have? Let's see how many votes we have, and I can tell you if I want to call it or not. We have 18 votes. So I feel like we can get up to maybe 2 more votes. And if we get to 20, then from there, I'm fine with calling it. If not, we'll just call it at the end of the show. Okay? So call your friends. Open up new YouTube accounts. Hop on in and vote away. Austere is quickly approaching podium. So if you are in the Auster approach and you want Auster to win, now is the time to hop in and make your voice heard. Are you guys ready for some hyperlinks? Hyperlinks time. Hyperlinks is a inspiration segment that we have that goes over different websites that are just cool to check out. They're ways of being able to find cool internet toys that might spark creativity or just entertain you for a bit. This is coming Shapeshifters. It's virtual pets for designers. This is actually coming from a friend of the show. You can get this from Motion by Nick. It's on the After AE Scripts and AE Plugins page. It's $9.75 at the time of broadcast. And basically, it is a different little Tamagotchi that lives directly inside After Effects or Illustrator. And you can hatch these different little pets that live alongside your projects. And then as you continuously interact with them as you're working on a project, they grow. But they can also get hurt, and they can also die if you neglect them. And you can end up killing a pet, just like you killed all of your wonderful Tamagotchis. This works in After Effects, Illustrator, and Premiere. This has no effect on your project at all. This isn't going to do any sort of effect for your work. It's just a way to keep entertained and another thing to keep distracted because, you know, why not, right? And like I said, you can get that right now off Shapeshifters, and it's for After Effects, Premiere, and Illustrator. And then the one other hyperlink we have for today is 90s Cursor Effects. This says, I like to take the web back a little bit into the wonderful days where knowing how to get your little mouse arrow to dance and sway was the most of your worries. Each of the cursor effects below are built for your modern browser, fast, efficient, mobile friendly, and are super easy to add to your site. You can just click the cursor effect and you can get the documentation on GitHub. I am very fond of these. I remember like trying to get these cursor effects in my AIM profile. If you don't know what AIM is, Skibbity Toilet. You can see here as you go into these little preview panels, you can see that, you know, there's little rainbows for this one, or a clock that can actually follow around with the time and then like catches up. There are ones that always were like, welcome to my site. There's fairy dust. This one I feel like was everywhere for a little bit. The ghosty one, you got trailing, following dot, elastic emojis, emoji rain. Wow, this one's obnoxious. Bubbles, snowflakes, and character. This was created by T.W. Holman, and he's got a bunch of other junk too, or she, whoever they may be. And it's just a cool little website to remember the 90s internet. Zonify says, my only question is, does it slow down my render time? Oh, the Tamagotchis? You know, I don't know, because I might have to get a shapeshifter pet now. Yeah. Jack is saying the text cursor was very popular. And Umercorn says, I can't remember the animation, but I still have a few files on my computer saved of old things to have for your cursor. Can't remember what the animation is. Oliver says, I'm definitely adding the emoji rain to my site. I can't wait to see all of you guys have a bunch of exciting cursor animations. I remember all different ones that used to be all over the websites, all GeoCities, you name it. And maybe you can even apply some of this ideas to like an After Effects animation or something. You're not gonna be able to use the GitHub code, but might be something cool that you'd be able to animate and kind of have an echo effect on top of it. We have one more segment, which is Rebrand. Oh, no, we have Rebrand and Spotlight, but we only have like 10 minutes left. So let's see how much we can get through. I never know how much news story to have on the show, because sometimes I feel like I get through all of it, and other times I feel like we do not get enough time to get through everything. But guys, let's just do Rebrand. Why is this year the year of controversial like uprising for rebrands? On the right, you have the original City of Austin logo, found in 1839. But just this week, they announced a updated branding system for the City of Austin. It is the one on the left, and it was presented as a way to be able to give more ownership and understanding to city-related things, all on a more continental size. They actually ended up bringing in Pentagram, which is probably the most prestigious design studio in the country, to be able to make this new design system, and they made it on the left. And boy, oh boy, just like everything else, people are mad. I'm indifferent about it, honestly. I think that it's clear and you can read it, and it doesn't look like any other logos, so I'm down for that. But people are very unhappy, so much so that they are trying to navigate it and they're trying to figure it out. Just like anything else, just like with Cracker Barrel, you name it, people love to have opinions on the internet. Oliver says the new one looks like a logo for a charity. Clever says it's the year of fool around and find out. Reverb Mike says Austin, Massachusetts. No, it's not Austin, Massachusetts. It's Austin, Texas. Zonify saying the year of rebrands. I was going to ask if it was Texas. It is. Reverb Mike saying keep Austin's beard. Yeah. So what do you guys think? Oliver says it looks like a logo for charity. Umacorn says I understand it, but it takes away character, if that makes sense. Yeah, I feel like that's a common criticism of a lot of different rebrands, is the idea that we are going farther away from intricate and technical designs to things that are more streamlined, and a lot of people feel like that loses a lot of character. Winter says looks fine to me. Yeah, you know, it is. I don't have strong opinions, I don't think. Zonal says, I don't know the city well, but from accessibility perspective, it looks way better. Yes, and it also feels like it'd be very easy to put on a bunch of different stuff. You can also reference the green and the blue more. I don't know. But speaking of simplifying things down, this was brought to my attention by Brand New, the Blue Diamond Company. They do almonds. They recently did an update to their branding, and they simplified it a lot. When I first saw the logo, I was like, what? I was like, you don't need to. Like, that's takes away some of it. But then I saw the side by side of this is what the old one looks like, and this one is what the new one looks like, and I think it looks great. I personally think that it looks elevated. I think that that feels much cleaner. I trust it more. It feels like there's less distraction all over it. Everything is way easier to read. Like, this is irresistible snacking over here. I don't need that, but it has like 6 grams over here, and it has lightly salted and low sodium. This is all stuff that I can see and I feel like I trust. It feels like it is a nice update. Zonify is saying the Blue Diamond one is wonderful. Reverb Mike says nuts, and yeah, it is nuts. It is quite literally all nuts. Oliver says that he would like to see the Austin one in context rather than in isolation. It might look better, which is true. And I hope that the Blue Diamond one, this gives you some concept. If you guys end up paying for brand new, they do a really good job at breaking down all of things in context, which is really nice to see. Winter Powell is saying it is more streamlined and easier to read for the new Blue Diamond. I agree. Uma Korn also agrees. Seems to be a nice update. Zonafly says it definitely keeps true to the past, but also adds in a fresh update. Yes. All right. So we're all in agreement. We all give thumbs up to Blue Diamond. Way to go, Blue Diamond. That's nice to see. Then we have Snuggle, which you guys are probably familiar with. They updated their bear. This is classic. It feels less cursed to me. I think it feels very comfortable. I like the updates to the wavy text. The text feels less like embossed from the early 2000s websites. The bear itself seems softer. The way that it is cuddling feels more human. This is coming from Bulletproof, which is a design agency that was able to redo it. And then coincidentally / at the same time, there was a update from Creative Boom that is referencing this rebrand, as well as Brawny's rebrand, coming from Abby Bamford at Creative Boom, and saying that once considered relics of advertising golden age, brand mascots are making a surprising comeback. Amy Werner, Bulletproof's head of strategy, explains why these characters still have cultural clout and how the next generation of mascots is evolving for an AI age. This is really interesting because in this whole process, I learned that apparently the efficacy of brand mascots against their counterparts that are non-mascot leds. It says that Bulletproof's research shows mascot-led campaigns outperform traditional ads, delivering higher recall and brand affinity. While not every brand needs a mascot, those in crowded or complex markets can use them as powerful growth engines, proving these characters aren't just nostalgic throwbacks, but vital tools for connection and revenue. Reverb Mikes thinks that the new bear is not as soft as Fuzzy. Zonafly says it's all right, but I don't love 3D and logos because it doesn't scale well. She saw this one this morning. She does like the packaging. Clever says she misses the soul-threatening eyes. And Corn also agrees, likes the bear, which is nice to see. I don't think we're going to get time to get to Spotlight, sadly. So I guess we can either keep those for next week or you could check out the Raindrop. There are a few interesting ones, so maybe I will bring it up. I guess the only one that I will bring up in Spotlight for this one is it's a cool video that I would get incentivize you guys to check out. It's from the Harvard Business Review. Normally, I am very much like the kids are all right. Don't freak out about phones. But this is a very interesting one where he's basically saying, like, we no longer have moments of boredom because we fix it with our phones so quickly. Basically, you need to be able to have time where you're not going to just immediately pick up your phone. This is if you're standing in an elevator, if you are waiting for the train, or you're waiting at the stoplight and you pull up your phone. If you get someplace early and you're waiting for your friend, you pull out your phone. And there needs to be downtime when you're not doing anything and you're kind of bored, because this stimulates your brain and also makes you think of things that you wouldn't think of otherwise. So the long story short for this video, it's like a 4-minute video or 3-minute video, just basically says, give yourself time to be bored. Clever says, I want boredom. I crave it. And Zonafly also says, say yes to more boredom. That was a lot of talking. That was a lot of Ryan for the last 2 hours. So let's close this out real quick by closing the poll. And the winner of this week's Font of the Week goes to, with 42% of the vote, goes to Podium. Congratulations, Podium. This is a nice impact alternative that looks a lot nicer and wider and friendlier. It's once again designed by Mateusz Malkowski. Congratulations to Podium for being this week's Font of the Week. You can check it all out on the Adobe not Typekit, not anymore. It hasn't been Typekit for years. You can check it all out on fonts.adobe.com, included in your subscription. Would love to see if you guys create anything with it. That said, make sure you guys check out the Adobe Live Discord. I would love to see any of your stuff in the File New channel. I like to go and put in different things throughout the week. You can see I even linked to the video that we were just talking about. We talk a little. I also love School of Motions, Motion Mondays. I also put those in normally on Monday. And I just love to talk to you guys a little bit more, especially when we're offline, because I love you guys' opinions, and I would love to incorporate them into the show, especially if you're not even to make it. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. Up next, we have Twitch. So we're switching off of YouTube for the end of the day, but we're going over to Twitch. And next up, we have Creative Retouching with Bella Kotek, followed by CA in LA with no experience necessary. So make sure you're going to go and you're going to hop on over to Twitch, and it's just it's twitch.tv/Adobe. And I'm going to put it in both chats. I might get cut off here if you're on Behance, but nothing to cut me off anyway. So make sure you guys check it out. Thank you guys for being here. My name is Ryan Selvy. You can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Blue Sky. I really need to get better about posting on a Blue Sky. It's been forever since I posted. But I would love to talk to you guys in Discord. Rebrand says stay in retouch. Sounds good. Thanks for a great stream. It says Kendall. Always love learning these and catching up with everything. Thanks guys for being here. Thank you to Oliver. Thank you to Umacorn. Thank you to our wonderful moderators, Jack and Jacob. And I will see you guys all real soon. Thanks for watching.